Hey guys, Augiesaint here and welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and I want to share with you guys some of my insight on some of the best classes to play as a newer player coming into Lost Ark. As right now with the Super Makoko Express, it's so easy for new players to get into the game, alongside also the Horizontal Express Acacia Tour thing. I have done videos on both of these on my channel, so you want to know how to use those and get the full benefits out of those, go check those out on the channel. I'll leave them linked down below in the description as well for you guys to check out. So, little disclaimer before we hop into this video, this is completely my opinion and experiences after playing Lost Ark for the last 2 years since it came out in the West, but don't let my opinion persuade you otherwise, or any other content creator or person or player or friend or anybody about playing a class you really do enjoy. Because whatever you do enjoy, you'll just get better at it eventually. If you enjoy it, you'll keep playing and put in the time to actually get better at the class. Saying thus, all the classes in Lost Ark are viable. Every single build is viable at doing the game, completing the raids, doing everything. Just some of them do it better than others, and some fights are better for other classes, and blah blah blah. You guys know the whole run. So without further ado, we're gonna hop into this Lost Ark Nexus one. They have like a full breakdown and everything, so we're gonna cover each and every single class. They pretty much, give you the little breakdown. And I have my own, sorry for the flashbang, recommendation of all the classes, what I would actually recommend if you're a brand new player coming in. You can see my list is a lot smaller than what the actual Lost Ark Nexus one is. So both of these will be in the description. You can check them out. We're just going to hop straight into them. That little thing over there, green builds is what they recommend for new players. Yellow builds are for experienced investor players, and red builds are recommended for committed or experienced players. So obviously the red builds you don't even want to touch as a newer player. But like I said before, if you really enjoy it and you want to get good at it, it's up to you. So green builds, the support classes are all recommended, obviously, because supports, everybody needs a support. You do need to actually get pretty good at support. You do need to manage high uptime on that. But these days people will take a support as long as their monitor is turned on and their mouse is plugged in. That's like the bare minimum to get a support. I'm a little bit different for that, but it is what it is. New players, if you do like the support role, it's not so much a healer. So like the other games like WoW, Final Fantasy, it's not very similar to those, but it more focuses on giving your party synergies, giving them buffs so they can do more damage, giving them mana regeneration, and you can heal as well, but that's not the whole point of a support. The whole support thing is to actually support your party in Lost Ark. So I could recommend all of these. My recommendations, if we go to my list, I'll show you guys the list afterwards, but Paladin, Artist, I could recommend both of these. Artist is my favorite support, and Paladin and Artist are very good supports. Paladin, very simple to play, very easy. You got 2 buffs you got to manage, rotate between the 2, and I think with the level 8 gem, you should be able to rotate them indefinitely. You'll always have a buff up on Pally. Same thing with Artist, you've got the 1 buff, then you've got your Sunwell, you can place down as a buff that does the same thing basically. You got the mana regen, you got very easy time with actually healing people on the Artist that doesn't affect your damage buff so hard, because the Artist has these 3 little balls. It's our identity. You build them up and then you use 1 of those balls to actually drop a healing orb, or you use 2 of them to give your party a damage buff. But it's very fast in how fast you can build those up. So if you need to chuck out a quick little ball for healing, you can do that, and you can build up your 2 extra balls for damage buff straight afterwards. Very fast and simple playstyle. She's got very good stagger. She's got a lot of push immunities, which is something you'll need to learn later on in the raid so you don't get knocked off of stuff or knocked into things and stuff like that. Same with Pally. He doesn't have that many push immunities that I can think of. I don't think he has any really, besides his ultimate obviously. But Pally, again, you don't have to choose between your identity, because his identity gives you healing and damage buff all at the same time. Has got a pretty good shield that also heals after its shield the duration runs out. And then also he has a cleanse on his shield. Artist also has the best cleanse out of supports, because hers is on a 15-second cooldown. You have 2 charges of it. So pretty much every 15 seconds you can be cleansing something. You also do mainly use it for building your gauge up, so stuff like that. And then it's also a portal, so you can get people out of sticky situations. That's why I say Artist is very good. Bard on the other end has a very wonky type of a cleanse. She's got a skill called Guardian Tune with a tripod, where you play it and then it will make the next effect after it's run out of the duration or something like that not apply to the person. I'm not sure if that works with all things, but you pretty much have to gig your brain, pre-plan that stuff on support, on Bard support. So out of the supports, I would not recommend Bard as a newer player. But if you like mage type playstyle and you do like the Bard look and everything, go ahead and play the Bard. But I would not recommend a Bard as a starting support. Much rather Paladin or Artist. And then moving on to DPS classes. Now we have Berserker over here, Mayhem Berserker. They are recommending that. I could also recommend that. The same with Predator. They're both relatively easy. The only thing between the difference between them, to me, Slayer feels better than Berserker, and I mean, she has Booba. So Slayer is pretty much Berserker with Booba, but there's one downside. You do have to back attack as a Slayer. As a Berserker, you don't have to do any positional. So Mayhem Berserker is relatively easy, fast-paced, can feel a little bit squishy because with the engraving Mayhem, it actually drops your character's HP down to 25% of your overall pool, and it's locked there. But at the same time, you do get like 70% damage reduction, I believe it is now, or is it 72% after the current updates with the balance patch? You get like at least 70 or 65 to 70% damage reduction. So you might have like, if you have 100k HP normally, you have that like 25k HP, but you'll have like 70% damage reduction. But it can still feel squishy because I mean, some stuff obviously goes through that DR and can still one-shot you relatively easy. And then we come over to Predator Slayer. Now she's very fast as she is a full swiftness class as well, which makes her accessories not too expensive except for her, obviously her class engraving. The difference between her and Berserker is she is a back attacker, so you have to back attack, but she doesn't have her health reduced like Mayhem does. So in my opinion, Predator Slayer is pretty much just a better Mayhem plus Booba. Obviously everybody loves Booba. Relatively fast paced. She does have mana issues later on, but her actual class engraving Predator, as you maintain this buff, and the higher you get the buff, the faster it cools down so you can get back into Predator, as well as giving you mana regen as well. So you will have a little bit of mana issues sometimes, but it all depends on your support as well. You could just eat food to solve that as well. But yeah, Predator Slayer is very strong. I could recommend it. Definitely agree with that one. Then we move on to Destroyer. Honestly, I would not recommend Destroyer as a newer player, but Rage Hammer is there. I believe they need Wealth Runes. I may be mistaken. I've never actually played a Destroyer. I do not have a Destroyer, so maybe this could actually be an outlier that I have been overlooking. Rage Hammer is a front attacker, super easy, extremely tanky. That I do know. They have a lot of shields. Low skill points required for maximum damage. Okay, that I did not know. That is very good because it gives you less horizontal you have to go out and farm. Low investment build. I believe they use like supercharge and then frontal attack. Yeah, so it could be actually a very good choice if people like Destroyer, but it's a very slow, clunky kind of a playstyle. You're very big and slow, but you are strong and sturdy. You have a lot of push immunity, so you can't get knocked over and stuff like that. And they do actually do some really good damage. So definitely an outlier that I never considered. Gravity training, I would say, don't even like. Gravity training destroyers don't even get invited to my raids. Every single one that we've ever tried and given a chance, they've just disappointed us. I'm sorry, gravity training. It's not you guys, it's me. It is what it is. And then moving on to Gunlancer. Now, Gunlancer is another one I could and couldn't recommend at the same time, depending on what kind of a player you are. If you like playing a tanky class, Gunlancer is like the closest thing you'll get. Just keep in mind, every single class besides the supports in Lost Ark is considered a DPS, so there's no actual tank role. Gunlance is the closest thing you'll get to a tank. You have a shield and a gun lance, obviously. They are extremely tanky, useful utility, very simple to play, and they've got, I wouldn't say they have some mobility, I'd say they lack mobility all the way. But yeah, mobility is what it is, and when you actually use your spacebar in Lost Ark, most classes have like a little dash. Gunlancer instead will do a little back dash. You've got to get really used to that. If you only play Gunlancer, then obviously you'll be used to that because it's all you have. But if you play other classes and you want to make a Gunlancer, it's like a little adjustment you have to get used to actually going backwards instead of forward with your spacebar dash. I would not recommend Gunlancer for most newer players, but like I said, if you are after that big tanky playstyle with a shield and you can actually put that up and gives you push immunity, you can ignore a lot of mechanics, then go for it and play it at your own leisure. Just keep in mind, at item level Gunlancer, you can't really tank everything, but you can tank a lot more than what other people can. But then once you get over item level on a Gunlancer and you go back to older raids, it's pretty much a cakewalk. You can put up your shield and just ignore every single mechanic. So that is the life of a Gunlancer. Moving on to Arcana. I would not recommend this for anybody as a new player, as they also agree with me, so that's very good. Because if they recommended Arcana for a new player, I have also another class I have not made yet. We're going to make one pretty soon. But she's very high skill cap, very squishy, very difficult. She needs skill points and a lot of learning curve and time investment. I would not recommend Arcana for a newer player. But if you are like a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, you want to be Joey Wheeler or something, go live out your dreams. I'm not going to stop you. Moving on to Sork, we have Reflux and Igniter. Now overall, I would actually not suggest Sork for a new player, mainly because Sork gets gatekept 24/7, and yeah, 24/7. We do it 94 days, 94 hours in a day, 7 days a week. You know, that's how often they get. That's how often they get gatekept. That's bad because I mean, I've been playing a Sork since the beginning. It's like my first main character that I mained all the way up until recently when I switched over to Breaker. But if you have to play Sorc, like I said, you really like magic and that kind of stuff, you like casters, definitely go with Reflux. Do not play Igniter as a newer player. You will probably quit the game and hate it, or you will become like your hidden masochistic dreams will just like emerge out of you, and you'll just bloom into like this Igniter that just carries every single raid. So if that is your fantasy, then go for it. Reflux, easy to play, fast and mobile, cheap, very good to learn raids on. Can't agree with this, because as a Reflux you get like a little bar that you fill up when you use skills, and it gives you a free teleport. And this teleport you can spam all over the place. You can get about 3 teleports I believe on a full bar, and you build it up really fast. You have 3 teleports plus your space bar, so that's 4 teleports on very short cooldowns that you can build up and use very fast. If you are going to play a Reflux build, there's multiple different builds. There's the crit Reflux instant cast build, there's the swiftness Reflux build, and then there's also the crit casting Reflux build. Now, nobody likes crit casting Reflux except me. I'm the one guy that stands out and really likes that, because you can just use Doomsday, which is like the only reason I play a Sorc, is because I love the animation. I mean, you summon a giant meteor out of the sky. So that is what I would suggest, the crit Reflux casting build or the crit Reflux instant cast build. Do not go for the swiftness build, because I think a lot of people gatekeep that one the most. But if you want to play it and it's fast, it's easy to learn, go ahead and play that one as well. And then moving on to Summoner. Now, Summoner I could also not recommend as a newer player, so it's good that they don't recommend this. But basically, communication overflow, you are a summoner like a mage and you have pets. Your pets do everything. You can pretty much break your fingers. If you want to get arthritis, then this is the class for you. You're going to fuck up your fingers real bad with this one. And then Master Summoner is basically Igniter, but a little bit easier. So that's why obviously it's yellow over there. But again, you need a lot of stuff to make it work properly, so I would not suggest it. If you have to go Summoner, try out the communication overflow in the beginning and see what you like. Then moving on to Glaivier, Pinnacle, and Control. Again, I would not recommend either of these. Pinnacle has a really weird rotation now, but it's pretty decent as well. And it's also pretty expensive because you need high level cooldown gems, I heard, like level 9s or something to get the rotation to feel good or something like that. Don't quote me, I only have like a low paying Pinnacle slave. You guys will learn what low paying is in due time. Don't you worry about that, child. And then Control is a high swiftness class, but it is, both of them are back attacker, and Pinnacle is a spec class, which is very expensive in the game. Control is probably a cheap build, but I wouldn't suggest it because it's also gate kept pretty badly. Not terribly, obviously better than Sorc. I think Sorc is the worst gate kept class, but yeah, Control Glaive. If you like a Glaiver, you want to have like a Dragoon playstyle, your Final Fantasy experience is a Dragoon, go ahead and play Glaive. I could just not recommend it as a new player. Moving on, now this is the best female martial artist I could recommend as a new player, Taijutsu Scrapper. She's very easy to play, back attacker, fast and mobile, cheap to build, and also does not require a lot of tripods, ruins, or skill points, so she can take off very early. Her uptime is very good once you get used to the class. Her movement is just she's actually my second favorite class in the game. She was my favorite until Breaker came out, so Breaker has dethroned her the favorite class of the game for me. On shock training, I would not recommend at all. It's very slow, a lot of shackles. You need a spec build, so it's a little bit more expensive. There's certain breakpoints you need to make, and obviously yeah, it's very slow. Both of these, however, are back attackers, so you do have to keep that in mind. You have to chase the ass on Taijutsu, so back attacking is something there. And then Breaker, again, Breaker is my current main. I love it, but I could not recommend it for a newer player. Brawl King stance, if I had to recommend either one of the two, I would probably say Brawl King, because I don't even know how to word this. Brawl King is pretty much Igniter Sorc, but melee version. You can change the direction of your meteor mid-flight, which is insane. And then Ashura's path is front attacker. So Brawl King is non-positional. You can hit from all sides and directions. It is a spec-based class. You got to build up your gauge and you got to unleash like your burst. That's generally how spec classes work in Lost Ark. And then for Ashura's one, you are a full crit front attack. It's very fun. It's very defensive because it has a lot of shielding and push immunities. So it's good to learn stuff. But if you miss your 1000 punch uppercut thing, your Ashura's like punch thing, they have this, but pretty much they build up a little meter and then they unleash like a massive flurry of punches. If you miss that and it doesn't front attack, that's like more than 40% of your damage gone. So you will feel pretty weak and you won't be doing much damage. But if you do like the idea of it and you get really good at it, both of these are S tier, and Ashura's path is a little bit higher damage than Brawl King once you can actually fully master it and master the raids as well. And then moving on to Soulfist, EO, and Robot Spirit. I could not recommend Soulfist for new players. They are a very complicated class because you need to manage your height meters with the raid mechanics and stuff like that. So you've got to know when's a good time to like pop your hype meter, which makes you do pretty much lets you go Super Saiyan mode and do more damage and stuff like that. I don't actually have a Soul Fist. I've played one a little bit in the past and then I deleted it. So yeah, Soul Fist I could not recommend, but if you are a massive Dragon Ball Z fan and that's your fantasy, go ahead and unleash the Kamehameha wave on everybody. Or the Spirit Bomb, channel the Spirit Bomb energy as well. Then we move on to Striker, pretty much War Dancer with no boobies, so I could not recommend this for people as well. But they do say Iso Flurry is recommended for new players. If you want to be a male striker puncher thing, I would rather probably go with Iso Flurry. Actually, I would actually rather suggest Breaker over this in my opinion. But honestly, I wouldn't recommend either of these for newer players because you do need some ruins and tripods and skill points and stuff to actually make these work. Because I believe Iso, you need wealth ruins as well to build it up and stuff. I'm not quite sure. I don't have one either. Another class I don't play. War Dancer I do play, and First Intent I could recommend for new players. I could agree with this. I totally forgot about this in my actual list that I'm going to share with you guys. First Intent is a swiftness class. It is no positional. You don't have to be back or front. Although you do kind of want to get some back attacks in there because it does help a little bit, but you will not be severely punished for it. So not bad overall. And then Iso as well, same thing, but it needs more investment because it is a spec build. So you want to, it's going to be more expensive than this version is full swift, and then Iso is full spec. So this is going to be more expensive, slower playstyle, does very, very good damage, but obviously it gets punished harder than what First Intent does. Both of these are pretty tanky as well for newer players learning stuff, so very good overall. And then Gunslinger, I would not recommend Gunslinger to a newer player, but I guess I've only really played Peacemaker. I've never played Time to Hunt. So if Time to Hunt is similar to Pistolier, I believe it is a lot easier because you lose your shotgun stance, because the Gunslinger actually has 3 different stances. So she has shotgun, snipers, and pistol stance, and Peacemaker switches between all of those. And she's very squishy, and she does need a large investment with skill points, so a lot of horizontal content. That is why I could not recommend Peacemaker Gunslinger for a new player. But Time to Hunt apparently is easy to play, fast-paced, squishy, obviously the same as the normal Gunslinger, and low investment build. So if you have to be a Gunslinger with Booba, then go ahead and play Time to Hunt. But it is also a spec build as far as I know. You could probably play with Swiftness as well, but spec tends to be more expensive for newer players and harder to access. And then moving on to Deadeye. Pistolier, I actually don't have one, but I have heard it's very easy, little investment, high mobility. Obviously it's squishy as well because it is similar to Gunslinger, except it's the male version. But it's very easy to play. You only have the 1 pistol stance. You don't have to do shotguns or snipers at all. So very strong, and I believe, I don't think it's back attack, right? Pistolier, they would have added that if it's back attack. So Pistolier I could recommend for new players. Or we have Enhanced Weapon, which I would not recommend. It's pretty much the Peacemaker version of Deadeye. And then moving on to Scouter, Machinist. Now this is another one I could recommend on Evo Legacy, as this one is extremely easy, low rune requirements, cheap gems, and good survivability. You're pretty much Iron Man. If you like Iron Man at all, you will love this class. Absolutely. Very strong class. Not extremely strong damage-wise, but very good for new players to learn as well. I wouldn't say they're overly gate-kept. I don't feel that way. I mean, I don't decline scouters because they're scouters. We just, you know, go through the whole list of gems and all the stuff. If it's all built correctly, then we'll get them in. And then Argentinian skill is a crit version, I believe. So it's a little bit cheaper because Evo is a spec version. But then at the same time, this one requires you to have a lot of gems, where Evo only requires you to have 2 gems. 1 cooldown gem and 1 damage gem. And then I believe Argentinian, I think 11 gems is how many you can have in total. So you have to have 11 gems versus 2 gems. And later on in the game, once you get through it, you'll see the difference between having 2 high-level gems and 11 high-level gems is a pretty big gold investment. So keep that in mind. So Evo, I could suggest for newer players. Argentinian, I would not, but you could do that later down the line if you want a new playstyle without having to switch mains. And then moving on to Artillerists, we have Firepower Enhancement and Barrage Enhancement. I would not recommend either of these for newer players, as they do require quite a bit of skill points, what Barrage does, and Barrage is a spec class again, so you need ruins and wealth ruins and stuff like that to actually build it up, spec being more expensive. But Firepower, I guess you could actually play Firepower, no investment required, range, tanky, extremely easy. So maybe that is one that I did overlook because I completely forgot about it. I mean, we pretty much always play the stronger build when we're playing ults on that. So I have a Barrage Artillerist, very strong once you get used to it. Just requires a little bit of investment. So firepower, I guess I could recommend it. I think you can build them swift crit, or like maybe full swift, maybe full crit. I think there's multiple different ways you can build them. So pretty easy and cheap to build those up. And then moving on to Sharpshooter. Loyal Companion, extremely easy, no investment and range. I could definitely recommend Sharpshooter on Loyal Companion as a newer player, because what you could do then is you could transition over to Death Strike once you've built everything up that you need on your roster, like tripods, runes, and skill points, and obviously mastering the rotation once you get better at all of that. So I could recommend Sharpshooter as a very good character for newer players to get into, starting with Loyal Companion and then transitioning into Death Strike, as this thing does crazy amounts of damage as well. Moving on to Deathblade, the Assassins, RE and Surge. I could not recommend Deathblade for a new player, because both of these builds do use spec, and I don't think they need wealth runes, so that's one plus side. But obviously they are spec classes and you want to build them with high quality spec, otherwise it feels bad to play them because your stuff will build up a lot slower. So I could not recommend Blade. It has been reworked recently and it's very powerful. I believe RE is pretty easy, so is Surge now. So if you really want to go after the Deathblade look and you like how it is one of the top tier damage classes in the game right now. Just a little bit harder to play, so that is up to you. So moving on to Reaper, again, I could not recommend this for newer players. It's a little bit complicated. You need to have the hands for it. Lunar Voice and Hunger. I'm not quite sure the specs on these. I know one of them is full spec. I believe this one maybe. And Hunger is like a 50-50 spec swift and a little bit of crit. They have very different ways you can build them, but again, I would not recommend them for new players. They're very squishy as well, because they are like an assassin type. And yeah, they are very fast paced and they are insanely good once you can actually master them and learn them. So like I said before, if that is your thing and that looks cool to you, you want to learn and put in the time to learn it and get good at it, go ahead and do it. I will not stop you. Good luck. And then moving on to Shadowhunter, we have Perfect Suppression and Demonic Impulse. Again, one of the classes I could recommend for newer players, although I would probably rather recommend Demonic Impulse. It's extremely easy, low rune tripod requirements. Needs 2 gems again because it is a transformation class, and good survivability. Each time you transform, you actually heal yourself a little bit, so that's very good for learning raids and stuff because you will be transforming quite often. The only downside is it is a spec class, so the accessories will be a little bit more expensive than obviously the Perfect Suppression is either crit or swift, I believe. But in the long run, again, you only need 2 gems versus needing 11 gems, so it will be cheaper and less requirements than Perfect Suppression. But Perfect Suppression is very easy as well. And I believe it's non-positional. I have a friend that plays it, and I believe it's non-positional, or you could back attack with it depending on the different builds that you actually build it and how you play it. So overall, Shadowhunter, very good pick for a new player. And then we have Soul Eater. Now this one they don't recommend, but I could recommend it. I would recommend Knight's Edge. It has a little bit of a different playstyle and a hard rotation to actually learn. But once you learn it, that's a very big payoff, as it does insane amounts of damage as well as being non-positional. So you don't need to back or front attack. You can just go ham from all over. So the downside is you need to learn and get used to the rotation. But once you do, it's a very rewarding class. The reason I could not recommend Full Moon is because you need wealth runes and stuff. And that's obviously some horizontal stuff, as well as it being a full spec class. But on the other hand, it's a lot easier to play than Knight's Edge. So whichever build you go, Soul Eater, there's something for everybody. Knight's Edge is full crit swiftness, so you'll have crit as your main stat. It's a lot harder to like play the rotation. You just have to learn it. It's not terribly hard. You just have to learn it, put some time into getting good at it. Where Full Moon Harvester is pretty much just roll your face on the keyboard and do insane amounts of damage, but it is a spec class needing a lot of gems, runes, and investment. Overall, would recommend Soul Eater. And then last but not least, we have Aeromancer, another class I agree with recommending, as Wind Fury and Drizzle are both very easy to play. Very good movements on both of them. I would, however, recommend Wind Fury over Drizzle. It has a little bit better synergy. It's fast-paced, low investment, as it is a full swiftness build, where Drizzle is actually a spec build, so you do need to have spec accessories, a little bit more expensive, but you don't actually need that many ruins to get it going, because it builds up extremely fast. So it's like a little bit of a bursty class every couple of seconds, and then Wind Fury is just a full uptime class. So that is it for my breakdown of all the classes. This is a pretty lengthy video. Let me know if you guys liked it and which class you're actually going to end up playing. If you're new to Lost Ark, join our Discord server. We are there all the time trying to help out everybody as much as we can, as well as join our Twitch at twitch.tv/Augiesaint. We live pretty much every single day. We will be up right after this video later today. So come on by, drop a follow and say hi. We'd love to see you there. And then just before I leave you guys, I'm going to show you Flashbang. This is what I would recommend for new players after going through that list. Just a quick little skim through. Warrior, I could recommend Berserker as Mayhem, Paladin support obviously, and Slayer I would recommend over Berserker, but those are the options. Mages, like I said before, I would not recommend these, but if you have to play mages, you have Bard support or Reflux Orc to go around with. And then for the martial artists, I could only really recommend Scrapper, but I guess you could maybe put ESO on there as well, or War Dancer First Intent, if you really wanted to add that to the mix. And for the gunners, my recommendations, like I said before, Sharpshooter Loyal going over into Deathstrike, Pistolier and Evolution Legacy Scouter, so Iron Man. For assassins, I could recommend Demonic Shadowhunter and Soul Eater Knight's Edge. Just have to learn it, but big payoff at the end. And last but not least, the specialists, I could recommend the support artist and the Wind Fury Aeromancer. That is my list of what I would recommend as a newer player, but we have the full breakdown there for you guys to go read through again and check it all out. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please drop a like and a sub. It helps me out so much. And I'll catch you beautiful people in the next one.
Run free and dive into the sky. Hear the wind crying.